Alright, the next video we're going to make is adding and subtracting decimal numbers, and it's pretty easy, so I think you guys will get it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start. Alright, so when you add two numbers, you automatically line up, you rewrite these up and down, and you automatically line them up using the digit that's also known as the ending digit. So in this case, it's 6 and 4. And the ending digit for both 6 and 4 happens to be in the ones place. So basically, any number that is in the ones place is going to be below 6. So in this case, it'll be 4. Any number that's in the tens place is going to be below 7, which will be 2. Any number that's in the hundreds place is going to be below 5 because they both are in the hundreds place, so you'll add them up. And I'm not going to belabor you with finishing this problem, but I want to point out that everything in the ones place is right there. Okay, so this can be example 1. Example 2, when we have decimals, you also have to line numbers up. And when you line up the decimal point, automatically everything else is lined up. So the most important point of today's lesson is the decimal point. I guess that was a little corny joke I didn't even mean to make, but I made it. So example number 1, rainfall over a 3-day period was 3.4 inches. And we're going to add that to the next day where it was 0.26 inches, so not nearly as much, but still a lot. This is a rainforest. And then the next one is going to be 0.3 inches. Alright, so let's go ahead and line those up. We have three numbers, 1, 2, 3, and so we're going to put our decimal points first. I would suggest that you do this. That way, you're automatically going to be lining things up. Alright, so the first one is 3.4. The next one is going to be 0.26. 4 is in the tenths spot, and so is 2. So notice, those two numbers are lined up. They're in the same column, so to speak. You wouldn't want the 2 to be floating around over here. Same with this one, you wouldn't want the 3 to be floating around over here. You'd want 3, since it's in the tenths spot, you'd want it directly below the 2 and the 4 because all three of those numbers, 4, 2, and 3, are all in the tenths spot. If you want to add some zeros to help you, that is permissible. Alright, so 0 plus 6 plus 0 is 6. 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 3 is going to be 9. Bring your decimal point straight down. Notice the decimal point is all lined up. 3 plus 0 is 3. So, over 3 days, we've had 3.96 inches of rain, which is almost 4 inches of rain. So let's go ahead and do a couple different problems just like this. Alright, example number 3 is 1.23 minus 0.4. Alright, so this is an addition problem, this is a subtraction problem. Let's go ahead and do it. So rewrite it. with your decimal points lined up. Okay, you can even start like that. So 1.23 is going to go right here, and then 0.4 is going to go right there. Notice 4 is in the 10th spot, so is 2, so those two numbers are going to line up. You want to add an extra 0 there, you can. That could help you. Alright, 3 minus 0 is 3. 2 minus 4. You can't do this, and so you need to borrow, just like you would any other problem. So this is now going to become a 0. This is going to become 12. 12 minus 4 is going to be 8. 0 minus 0 is 0. So in this case, the answer is 0.83. If you want to check it really quick, you can add 0.83 plus 40. Might as well do it. It's always good to do a little check. 3. 8 plus 4 is 12. Carry your 1. Bring your decimal straight down. Is 1.23 equal to 1.23? The answer is yes. That means it checked out okay. Alright, let's do a couple homework problems. Number 20 on your homework. It says, what's 1/4 plus 3/4? And then compare that to 1/4 times 3/4. The point of this problem is to know the difference between adding fractions and multiplying fractions. And there is a difference. Okay? So if you have 1/4, you add it to 3/4, you're going to get 4/4. Okay? Which is equal to 1. Now let's do this. 1 times 3 is going to equal 3. 4 times 4 is going to equal 16. Okay, so 3/16. I'm combining those two to get 4/4. I'm combining those two to get 3/16. I only did it to the side there so that you remember to multiply straight across. Okay, 1 is going to be a lot more than 3/16. Okay, so 1 is greater. So the answer to that problem is greater than. You should show this work on your homework. Alright, number 21 says write this as a mixed number. Right now it's an improper fraction. Whenever you change an improper fraction to a mixed number, you do top divided by bottom. Alright, so let's do top, which is 100, divided by bottom, which is 7. 7 will go to 10 one time. 1 times 7 is 7. Subtract. 10 minus 7 is 3. 3 is definitely less than 7, so then you can bring your next number down. 7 will go into 30, let's say 4 times. 4 times 7 is going to be 28. Subtract, you have a remainder of 2. The remainder goes, I'm going to rewrite a fraction over here. The remainder goes on top. Divisor goes on bottom. So 14 and 2/7 is your answer. Okay, a lot of kids have trouble with these number line problems when number lines are asked for mixed numbers. So in this case it says what's the mixed number that goes with the arrow point right there. And if you notice, we're going by tenths. The first step to ask yourself is each tick mark, how much, what percent or what decimal of the line does that represent? So since there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spaces, we're going by tenths. So this number right here, if it were a mixed number, we know it's at least 10 because that number is 10. But also, since there's 10 spaces, we know we're going by tenths. And how many tenths over is that? Clearly it's only one hop over, so that's going to be 10 and 1/10. Okay, for number 26 it says take 0.3 and 0.9 and write them as fractions. Multiply the fractions and then change it back to a decimal number. Alright, so let's take 0.3. This is 3/10. The reason why I know it's 3 is because there's a 3 there. The reason why I know that 10 goes on the bottom is because 3 is in the 10th spot, because the 10th spot is directly to the right of the 3. Then it says multiply it to the fraction that is that represents 0.9. Well, we know that 9 goes on top, okay, because that's the number, that's the numerator. And then what goes on bottom? Well, since 9 is in the 10th spot, I'm going to put that in the 10th spot as well. Alright, and then when you multiply fractions, you go straight across. 3 times 9 is 27, and 10 times 10 is 100. So now we have 27 hundredths. So now we're supposed to rewrite that as a decimal. And so the number is 27, and we know that the ending place value there is in the hundredths spot. So we're just going to rewrite that as 27 hundredths. The reason why it's in the hundredth spot is because the denominator says 100, therefore 27 is the ending place right here, the ending number is going to be in the hundredth spot. Alright, I want to go over number 29. It says the movie starts at 2:50 and ends at 4:23. So earlier in the day the movie starts, and then later in the day the movie ends. Alright, so our little equation is you take the later time, which in this case is 4:23, because this is the later time, and earlier in the day the movie started. So you subtract 250. Alright? So 23 minutes minus 50 minutes, you can't do it. So you need to borrow. And this has a lot of the same connections to fractions. Okay? So we know that we're going to borrow an hour. So now we're going to have 3 right there. And an hour doesn't just disappear. An hour reappears over here in minutes. And we know that there are 60 minutes an hour, so 60 minutes needs to be added to 23. Because we subtracted it here and we're adding it back in here. It can't just disappear forever. Okay? So 60 plus 23 is going to be 83. Okay? So we're going to subtract this now. 83 minus 50. 3 minus 0 is 3. 8 minus 5 is 3, so that's going to be 33. And 3 minus 2 is 1. So the difference between the start and end times is an hour and 33 minutes. Alright, so the movie, that's how long the movie is. Pretty good length for a movie. Alright, that's all I'm going to go over today. Thanks, have a good